the end of the day, like product market fit has been broken from day one. And a lot of people try to like reinvent the wheel and fail, but what you really should do, go to the people who are data heavy, analyzing everything, and steal, like an artist, what they're doing. Basically, data runs the world. Everything is based on data. Do something every single day for as much time as you could spare at that thing. And in 365 days, your life will be drastically different. It's just true. I put 8 to 10 hours a day posting spaces from the last week of April until 455 days later. I didn't miss a day. This is the biggest problem I see with creators, actually. They create content they want to create. It's the worst idea ever. So if you're creating content about something that no one cares about, you're going to get no audience. It was like the first week I got there, we celebrated our first like $80,000 day. A year later, we were celebrating our $1 million days. We kept having $1 million days.
Wow.
So like that's how fast the company grew and then got acquired.
What is going on, everybody? Hello, GM, and welcome to the Onchain Media Podcast. I'm Rachel Onchain, your host for today, and we are going to be chatting with the one and only Lucas Bean, you guys, author of Community Market Fit, ex-head of marketing for Sony. Look, we're twinning today. Ex-head of marketing for Atari, for Sony, for Experian. So many legendary brands, and I'm just so excited today because I feel like this is going to be a massive unlock for our community, for education around marketing, building community, everything that Lucas has done throughout his tenure and his career. I'm very excited to dive into all of it today. So without further ado, Lucas, I will pass it off to you to do your introduction.
You did a pretty good job of introducing me.
All right, that's it. That's the podcast, you guys.
So yeah, I have some background in marketing and running Fortune 500 marketing divisions. I have worked at some startups that most of them got acquired. Some did not. Yeah, I've been across multiple categories. I think I started my career in like financial technology, or what people call fintech, then moved into ad tech, then moved into entertainment, then gaming, then social e-commerce. And then, I've just been running multiple types of businesses since then. A influencer ad network, which is what I'm running right now, which basically connects influencers with Fortune 1000 brands via software, and writing books like Community Market Fit. I also own a events company that has events in 15 cities every single month, where there are people or startup and tech networking events in 15 major US cities. So I do a lot.
What do you not do, Lucas? It sounds like, do you sleep?
Yeah, I definitely sleep. Sleep is so important, by the way.
Yeah. Have been like looking a lot into like biohacking, and I'm sure you've read Atomic Habits, like just making incremental changes and things to help you with your growth. And I love the fact that you have taken, I think it takes a certain kind of person to not just execute and do things successfully, but to take time to educate and empower and share the lessons you've learned, because that's invaluable. You learn the most through experience, right? Through trying, through iterating, through, trial and error. And with all of your experience, working at some of these top Fortune 500 companies, I'm very excited about this. And I feel like for Onchain Media, as a founder myself, as someone creating content and building a community, I think this is going to be a massive unlock. And I'm excited to dive into everything today and educate the community. Real quick, small disclaimer before we dive into the show here today. Nothing here is financial advice. Everything here today is for educational and entertainment purposes. There are no offers to buy or sell securities. We're here simply to entertain and educate today. So without further ado, I want to kind of dive into what we're covering in today's session. So you've worked, Lucas, at Atari, Sony, Experian, and you've learned key lessons from exiting multiple companies and having all these acquisitions. So can you tell us what has that journey looked like, and what are the primary core lessons that you've learned through this time?
Yeah, big question. I'll try to segment it out to multiple answers here. So the first thing is I got lucky. The first company I took a job at in LA happened to be doing like really, really well. It was a fintech company. And the first day, it was like the first week I got there, we celebrated our first like $80,000 day. And then about a year later, I was a product manager in charge of like strategy and analytics. And a year later, we were celebrating our $1 million days. We kept having $1 million days.
Wow.
So like that's how fast the company grew and then got acquired. So the company that I was working at got acquired by Experian. So I instantly went from working at a startup called Lower My Bills to working at Experian. And
Wow.
yeah, so after the acquisition, I moved into a marketing role over there. I didn't run marketing for Experian. I was basically a kind of like a media buyer and campaign manager. But I basically managed like probably
That's
like 10
still
or,
huge.
yeah, $10 or $15 million worth of ad buy and optimization and things like that across a bunch of publishers. So that was interesting. Got acquired for just showing up to work, right? So like at the end of the day, I didn't really have, I was an executive at a company that got acquired, right? So I was also in my free time, which I didn't have a lot of free time. I was consulting for a company you might have heard of called MySpace.com.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a new piece of lore, you guys.
Yeah.
I didn't see this in my Lucas research.
So I consulted for MySpace. I was doing like basically marketing promotional consulting for the guy who ran events. And events were like critical for MySpace. They were famous for having amazing, crazy events with celebrities and things like that that make MySpace more prolific as a social network. And I not only took part in the events, as I was invited to afterwards, but I did a lot of the digital stuff as a graphic designer. I was also a Flash developer. So like I created some of the Flash banners and things like that for their marketing. And then they get acquired by Fox around, I think it was like $580 million Fox paid for MySpace. And I was just like, holy cow. So now I've been a part of 2 acquisitions.
That's so crazy.
Right?
So it's like hard work and right place, right time.
Yeah, it's really just taking the risk to work at these companies. I moved out to LA from Connecticut, where I'm from, and I knew nobody, I had no friends, no family out here. I just took a job.
You're still out in LA?
Yeah.
Oh my God, awesome. I'm right in Laguna Beach, man. We're practically
nice.
neighbors.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so I moved out not knowing anybody. I literally found my apartment an hour outside of LA. Literally, as I was driving into LA, I found my apartment an hour before I got here to share with, I shared my first room. I had a room in an apartment that was like, I actually signed the lease and gave my notice the same day I signed my 30-day lease for that place, because it was such a really bad situation, but at least I had somewhere to land. So then after MySpace, I went to a company called Traffic Marketplace, which is an ad network. I don't know if you know what an ad network is, but it's basically you get a bunch of like advertisers that want to market across multiple websites back then, like hundreds of websites. And so if you want to like market across hundreds of websites, you have to make deals with each one of those websites, or you come to a company like an ad network that has already relationships with all of these websites. So that you just come to one and they go, hey, we're going to market across 400 websites for you, right? Your ads are going to be across 400 websites. So that's how it's basically Google AdSense. Like we had a form of, it wasn't Google, but it was our form of Google AdSense where you can like spend marketing and it will go across a bunch of websites. And I kind of like helped that company be successful. And then that company exited in 2010 for $580 million.
Wow.
So another exit. Yeah. So it was really quick. My career went quick. So for 7 years, 3 acquisitions, I was in charge of this network at the time. So like this actually did have to do with me. I changed their entire business model to actually make them successful. So that thing did have to do with me. The other jobs where, I was, helping and stuff like that, I was just an executive at these companies, not the executive making things happen. And going through acquisitions and then working for big brands, like I have to admit, big brands move wicked slow.
Yeah.
After working at like startup and tech companies that are like, hey, get this done, and then 24 hours later it's done. You go to a company and they're like, oh yeah, it's going to take 6 months to do what you could do in 24 hours. And it's like, that is really hard to slow down.
Because when you get a behemoth of like a large corporation, right? You start having your legal department. There's all these different departments you have to go through for one small thing to happen. So it kind of inevitably brings about some level of bureaucracy, right? Which always slows things down.
Yeah. Yep. Hyper slow, hyper political, had to become friends with people that, just so that they would do their jobs, right? So you're like, I got to take this guy to lunch just so he'll do his job. It's like, doesn't he get paid to do his job? It's like, now I have to take him to lunch and, glad hand him. I just wasn't used to the politics, because at startups or tech companies in general, it doesn't matter whose idea it is. It's the best idea wins. We test all of them. We churn out those ideas as like bad ones or good ones by data, and we don't care. We don't dwell on it. We just go, oh, you know what? Today my idea won. Tomorrow Sam's idea will win, right? Or Rachel's idea will win the next day. And it doesn't matter. There's like no ego when it comes to like winning ideas, like analytics. Doesn't matter how good of a designer you are. Doesn't matter how good of a like business person you are.
The data is the truth.
The data is exactly
It's non-subjective.
It is subjective, actually. It is
subjective.
it's you can't argue with data. Basically, at the end of the day, it's fact. It's pure fact. It takes away the ego. No matter what you think you are, the data will actually tell you what people want. So it doesn't matter what you think, and that's what it teaches you. Is that when you work at companies that are all science-based, because it's data science, you will realize that data runs the world. Everything is based on data. It doesn't matter what you're doing right now. I could be designing a logo. It doesn't matter if the logo no one interacts with or no one cares about, or, you know, a color of a button is as small as a color of a button changes the way things work on, you know, basically on the internet. So.
Yeah, I just think it's very impressive that, you know, you've taken a lot of these lessons. Something you're touching on now is data, right? Looking at the facts, looking at what works and testing what works. And I want to ask you, you know, it sounds like you have had so many impressive roles throughout your career, companies that have been acquired. And I'm curious, like, how data has played a role, like how breaking things down into a science like that has helped you and your journey.
Yeah, so it definitely, what I learned at Lower My Bills, the first tech company that I was working out here, changed the way I think of everything. And it made me successful at all these other things where people wanted to hire me because I had such an understanding of the internet and data and things like that, that made me unstoppable. So if you know data, if you know how to like actually decide what like key performance indicators to like track, and then it's kind of very basic unit economics, but people hear data and they instantly get scared, where once I learned how to use it and actually leverage it so that we can actually do something different with it and make changes to a business that you can see instantly, right? You could see
tangible,
that,
yeah,
measurable. You can see like I said, at Lower My Bills, we were changing copy and button color and just changing a little icon on a form that says your data is protected. You could just change the lock icon to
It'll change the click-through rate, and you can it's quantifiable. You can see how that changes. Those little incremental changes in little things can influence someone's psychology, behaviors. I think Amazon has been known for being very meticulous with all, like every little thing on the site when you're looking at it is meticulously decided upon.
Yeah, and it's critical to understand like the entire world is built off that too. And a lot of people try to like reinvent the wheel and fail because they're trying to reinvent the wheel. But what you really should do is go to the people who are data heavy, analyzing everything, and steal like an artist what they're doing, right? So like, let's just say
it's using what works. It's using public knowledge of what is proven to work out there, you know?
Because I've spent millions of dollars testing it, right? At the end of the day, let them pay for all the testing. Now go take how they do things. And you got to remember, like, people are trained by these things also. There's something called pioneering cost that no one talks about. I feel like no one talks about it enough, at least, where people try to reinvent the wheel. And it's like, dude, you're building this giant gap between you and your customer. When they're trained by Amazon to expect free shipping, don't try and charge them shipping. Like bake the shipping into the price. Because if you try to change things with people they're used to doing something, you're going to fail at trying to train them to train them to do something new, which is why the iPhone doesn't change very much every year either, because they know people can't take change. So they only change the iPhone by like 15 or like 20%, because they know people will just stop using the phone if they change it too much, because it becomes unfamiliar. So.
It's also, I was watching a video from like a very experienced copywriter who was talking about using terms in marketing that people can visualize, right? Something that's punchy and people remember those words. Like if I said industry or drunk Irishman or leg of lamb, what would stick out to you, right? It's the Irishman, it's the leg of lamb, it's, industry. It's a little abstract. It's hard to picture that. I feel like something that Apple has really mastered is giving something a literal name for what it is. iPhone, right? Apple Pencil. It's like, they've taken terms, like when you saw the original, the iPod come out, they said 1,000 songs in your pocket. Like when this sort of marketing just uses like specific terms that you can visualize. And I feel like this is something we deal with, I feel like in crypto and the on-chain world, things get a little abstract. And what I want to do through marketing is kind of break down the jargon and make things as digestible and easy for people to grasp and understand. I feel like that's very important. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there, but that video was like, I was very fascinated by that yesterday.
No, that's good. Yeah. So I think it's important for people to understand that like metrics rule the world, right? So at the end of the day, like people like Apple and Amazon, they're not doing things willy-nilly. They're not just changing things without testing and looking at it. Although Siri still sucks. And it's sucked ever since it launched. They never fixed it. It still sucks. They still do most things right. And then if you actually draft off of like if you go, hey, Apple is doing this or Amazon is doing this, we're trying to sell something on the internet too. Why would we change the user experience? Let's just use the similar user experience that looks like Amazon, that looks like Apple. Whatever you're doing, just go and find the best in class. Take what they're doing as your own, and then you will be 80%, 90% of the way there, and then let data figure out the rest of it for you.
I love that. And that's something I was just on a call with the Onchain Media team talking about, like, how do we measure and quantify KPIs, metrics, like, actual proven things like that are a science, right? With growing a company. So those are things as a founder, I'm starting to really think about going into the new year. So I love that you're very data and data oriented with your companies. So the next thing I want to talk about here, Lucas, was your book. So community market fit. I'm curious what this actually means in simple terms and why community matters now more than product first growth.
Yeah, so I think product market fit was coined, I don't even remember the date, but it was just some really important VC at the time, venture capitalists said it. And everybody's like, oh, and of course everybody followed along, product market fit, product market fit. It's like, at the end of the day, like product market fit has been broken from day one. You shouldn't just build a product and then like try to find people who will buy it and then like, iterate that product until you find a community that actually really wants it.
Yeah.
That literally sounds nuts to me, right? It's like, hold on, let me just go build a house and then figure out if someone wants to actually buy it.
We'll see if someone will move in, yeah.
It just makes no sense. It just, you build it in the middle of nowhere, like, of course no one wants to live. There's no amenities, there's no nothing. You can't get groceries, like no electricity, like none of it makes sense. And I think I've been saying community market fit for over 15 years probably by now. And every time I say it on the internet, it just gets a lot of love. And I'm like, does everybody think like me, or am I thinking about this broken? So I figured, like, because I've said it so many times in like so many like audio spaces or in like podcasts, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start, because I tweeted it once, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. And I'm like, I'm going to see. And then like a whole bunch of people retweeted. I was like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here? They clearly think
struck a nerve. Yeah. It resonated with people.
It's been striking a nerve for a long time. And because I had to repeat it over and over again, like, guys, product market fit is a nice buzzword, but it's all about community market fit and everybody just agrees. I might as well just own it. I wrote the book now on it, so
own it.
I figured, I'm like, hey, I've said it for so long. I don't want to repeat myself. If someone asks me, what do you mean community market fit? I'm like, get my book.
And I did. And I was skimming through last night, just preparing for the podcast today. And I have to say, there are so many invaluable lessons in there. And, being in the crypto and on-chain space, I have to say, I feel like everybody should, if you're watching this, definitely get this book, check it out, especially if you're a founder. This is so important and critical to understand, right? It's always about the people. It's about the community. I feel like you could have the best tech, but the best tech doesn't always win, right? Like, we've seen projects that have incredible tech. If you don't have a community around it, if you don't have the right people, and I would also say inertia, right? Momentum and inertia. I feel like as a company, that's so important. And if you don't have that, it's very easy to like kind of grind to a halt with your momentum, with your growth. Like Lucas was saying, constantly looking for the right people to, use the product, but thinking of the people first. Like, I always like to say, I'm a human-centric builder, right? Onchain Media is a human-centric brand. It is for the people, right? This technology is by the people, for the people. I feel like our media should also be for the people. So that's something I really try to do with my media and content as well.
Community market fit is more like, people want to build this product, but at the end of the day, you should probably go be a part of a community first that you're trying to service. And then like, find problems in that community that you all share, start sharing information like I did. When I tweeted, hey, community market fit over product market fit, and then I get bunch of, signals about it, which I've already known is a positive thing because I've talked about it for so long. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write the book on it. And that's because the community responded to saying, hey, yes, this is a good idea. They actually kind of way, like, you want to go and join a community, find the problems. That's what community market fit is. Build a product around that community, the needs of that community, in a way, co-create that product with community so they have buy-in, and then they feel a sense of ownership with that product. And then all of a sudden they're going to buy it from you. Rather
oh
than
my God,
building a
Lucas,
product.
you're blowing my mind right now. Like I think this is exactly with Onchain Media. And by the way, I would like to invite you. We do a weekly community call, right? And that's something I want to do with Onchain Media. And you see projects out there that, say community owned, like Coinage, right? For example, community owned media company in the on-chain space. I want to create that kind of culture with Onchain Media where the voice of the community matters, the people in the community matter. And it, like, I think I read somewhere in your book that you have to listen to your community. I think it's in chapter 4. I just skimmed through. Let me see if
It's in chapter 1 too. But yeah, it's critical. Like the one thing you need to have a successful community is
listening.
It's simple. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
You see that, guys? Chapter 4.
Chapter, yeah, and then there's a chapter completely on momentum, which what you were talking about earlier. It's like if you never turn your back on momentum. If you have it, you have to tirelessly keep up with the momentum. Otherwise, if you turn your back on it, or you think, oh, you could just like sit back and now I have momentum, it'll go away so fast.
And you have to make hard decisions. Like I had to make a tough decision recently, I would say over the past couple months. There was another opportunity that initially looked like something, okay, like this, I could see going down this path. Then when I heard some of the details, okay, it's going to take a couple months and, it's going to, we're going to get it going maybe next year, Q1. And then it just seemed to be this like further and further away thing. And I'm like, I have momentum right now with my company, with clients, with growing the community. I need to double down on that. Wherever the momentum is, wherever the inertia is, I feel like the universe will kind of tell you when you're on the right path. Things will just start working out. Like, I don't know, when you're putting your energy and your time into the right things, I feel like you'll know it and you'll feel it and you'll start to bear the results of like where your time is most worth it. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting on another tangent here. But so for any founders out there listening right now, what are some of the top things that you can tell early on for good signs for community market fit? And what are some mistakes that people can make early on as well?
Well, the mistake everybody makes is building a product without having a community that wants the product. Like that's literally the number one mistake of everybody. Like I know people that have started health food stores and never owned a store before. I know people that threw $10,000 after this or that, and they just were like, oh, I don't know why I lost my money. I'm like, you didn't know what you were doing. So of course it's not. The earliest signs, like I said, the easiest signs in order to build a community is just start building something on the internet or join an already existing community and leverage that already existing community into your own personal, like you can break off some of those people into your own community. Like there's sub communities that develop within large communities, and it could be.
Guys, this man's a genius right here. I hope everyone's taking notes here today.
Yeah, so like I would join if I were starting a community right now. I would say, hey, what is a shared interest that I like and that other people like? Could be AI, it could be Web3, it could be as vague as that, right? It could be super high level. I like this. And then find communities underneath that main category and go, oh, cool. Here's a community, but like that's like all about like AI and here for enthusiasts and also experts in this category. I'm going to go join that community and see what people are talking about. And then below that, some people are going to be talking about like how LLMs work, right? Or they're going to be like, wow, I'm creating generative art underneath AI, right? There's so many subcategories underneath that. You could go and join one of those and start sharing stuff that you're making or creating or thinking about or talking about. And then some people will agree, then you connect with those people and then you start interacting with them on the internet, like back and forth. Let's just say it's Twitter. You become a reply guy.
Yeah,
girl.
That's everything. Yeah.
Do that with the people you actually want to connect with.
That's why, Lucas, that's why I'm your reply guy now, reply girl.
Yeah, you have to, it's actually really easy to build a community. I mean, they did it all the way back in like with the Bible. Like it's just like a book. You have a book, get a bunch of people that are all reading the book. It's a book club, right? And all of a sudden you have you have something in common instantly. The
Yeah.
next thing you need to do is develop like rules around that club. Hey, we're going to meet every Friday and talk about this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you have rituals. Who's going to read from that book this month or this week? You know, it's Rachel's turn this week and it's Luke's turn next week, right? And then all of a sudden you have the rules, you have you have the exact common artifact.
You're describing what we're doing with Onchain Media right now. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's chapter 1 of my book. It's literally the 3 things: is rituals, rules, and a common artifact. And that's how the Bible and religion, especially Christianity or any Islam or whatever it is, like they all became huge because that common artifact of that. And then they had these priests. And then like at the end of the day, the Bible was like Instagram and the priests were the influencers who then reiterated the influence every Sunday to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
ritual.
here's how you interpret the Bible, which is basically how you interpret, you know, that's what they had for Instagram back in the day, was the Bible. So
wow, I love it. Well, I feel like we're taking away a lot of philosophical gems here around marketing, community building. I'm curious too, like for everybody out there who's building a project, whether you're a founder, marketer, or a dev, I'm curious for every person out there, what is one signal that tells you a community is or isn't working?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's people participating, right? A community is like a group of like 2 people, basically, maybe even 3. Right. All you really need is like 3 people to like all go and talk about things. So it depends on what you mean by successful, right? Is it rapidly scaling? Is it, you know, oh, I had 5 members of my community last month and now I have 10. Like that might be success to a lot of people. To me, I'm a rapid growth scaling guy that I've been doing this for a long time, where if I had a community of 5 people and it turned into 20, I'd be like, oh my God, that's not nearly enough, right? And the same thing goes with other people who have like unrealistic expectations that don't know how to do this. But, you know, when it comes to like having that common artifact, and also what I find interesting is like the on-chain stuff that you're talking about, there's a financial incentive to partake in a community.
Yes.
Right? So like that makes things a lot easier because, again, like in a way, NFTs is a great example. You could sell out an NFT collection and all of a sudden you have 3,000 members overnight. Where does that happen, right? At the end of the day, like it doesn't really happen that fast anywhere. So like it's that extra incentive. It's not just rules, rituals, and a common artifact. It's also, I'm going to make money.
That part right there. Yeah. And I feel like with Onchain Media, we are uniquely primed, right, for doing educational content with other projects, educating the community on like, here's what this project is doing in DeFi. Here's what this NFT project is doing. And then every week it's like people are also incentivized to look into like, okay, what's happening on chain? Like, you know, what projects should we look at? What projects can we participate in? And I feel like that's another element that like makes people excited to show up and learn, you know, what's happening on chain. So I love that. And yeah, you're explaining in real time, like what is happening in my community. So, okay, I'm looking here also to go through some actionable advice. So what tips or strategies would you give to others on getting past fear and overthinking as a creator or a founder?
You just have to do it. There's no real way. Like, I'll give you an example.
Pictured like the Shia LaBeouf, like, just do it.
Yeah, I know. But so here's what I did. I was a wicked shy person coming out of high school. I was like just really shy. And I realized I wanted to I had to get a job through college. Like I worked a full-time job. So I'm like, what full-time job could I work where I don't have to like kill myself doing it? And also it makes me a lot more social. And I became a waiter. So I was a waiter at a fine dining restaurant. And let me tell you, that is something that'll make it so that, I guess you could say, makes you a good speaker because you're on stage. Every table in a restaurant that you're waiting on that night, let's just say, is at stage, right? And you're performing for each one of each group of tables. So let's just say there's like 15 or 20 tables a night. And you're like, okay, I did my shift. You were I was on stage like 14,000 times in the amount of time I waited tables. So like 14,000 tables. That's how many chances I had to like be in front of people and perfect my ability to speak, right? And also entertain, because you have to be nice.
Yeah.
In a way, you're waiting tables to get a better tip. If they think you are a great waiter, they're gonna be like, oh my God, I'm gonna come back here. I want that guy as my waiter. I can't wait. And I had regulars coming in. So this is like, it was cool. And it made me realize that being like this, anything that you want to do in life, you actually have to just get in front of it and just do a lot of it, right? Just
Yeah.
like Twitter,
You build the
Twitter audio
muscle
spaces.
memory. It's
Yeah,
like with
Twitter,
anything, the more you
yeah,
do it, the better you get at it.
yeah. And Twitter audio spaces is the same thing. I started like joining Twitter audio spaces back in like April of 2021. And I had a few friends that worked at Twitter at the time, and I kept going into their spaces and joining and adding value. And then I realized, I'm like, I really enjoy this. I really enjoy being on there. So I just started hosting my own spaces, and I put 8 to 10 hours a day hosting spaces from like the last week of April until 455 days later. I didn't miss a day. So Monday through Sunday, there was no days off for me.
Wow.
So I just did spaces.
Well, you're inspiring me right now, Lucas, because
that's what you have to do.
I'm making my New Year's plans, and I'll just show you this really quick because it's right here. Maybe I'll cut this out from the podcast. I'm a big believer in writing down your goals, writing a game plan. I feel like you're more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. So I'm a big proponent of that. I have everything here from my team, my shows, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday for my newsletter,
right.
and then sales projection for the new year. So that's something that I am looking at on how to make sure that we have an active content machine every day of the week, right? I love how you said no days off. But also like where I'm at with my company is bringing on people to scale my own efforts. Cause when you're a founder, you wear a ton of different hats. So as I grow incrementally, I'm like, okay, who can I bring in to help with this little, friction point, this grindy thing that I have to do that takes up a lot of my time, that takes me away from talking to new clients. So I'm bringing people in to start helping me scale with that. But yeah, basically, long story short, Monday through Sunday, you were doing shows every day. So you're inspiring me, man. And I'm curious, like, where you got that motivation from. Like, what's your why?
Well, during that time period, my why was like, I knew, and I would give advice because I've been doing this for a while. I used to give advice to creators, which were, I want to be a creator, but I can't make a video every day, or I can't do this every day. I'm like, look, if you want to change your life, like full on see your life completely different in 365 days in 1 year, you have to do something every single day for as much time as you could spare at that thing. And in 365 days, your life will be drastically different. It's just true, right? At the end of the day, it's just true. So I'm like, hey, I have to take my own advice. I am going to do Twitter Spaces, and I'm not going to miss a day. I would roll out of bed and turn it on. I would keep my hosted space on as I went in the shower. I would let somebody else speak while I was showering.
I love Lucas.
Whatever it took, right? Whatever
you're becoming my role model right now. I'm so thoroughly impressed because you guys, we have so many tools at our disposal nowadays for creators to win, for creators to succeed. Gary Vee talks about this. I went to LA to a New Day One in LA over the summer, saw Gary Vee speak, and he talked about this. He said, you guys, expect to carve out like 5 years and just be consistent and keep going and growing. It's going to take you about 5 years of creating. But he said the difference between when he started and now is that there are so many tools at our disposal as creators, right? Everything is kind of like here for us right now as far as tooling and infra for us to win as creators. And let's see. I was gonna show something. I kind of lost. I got excited there and lost my train of thought.
Yeah, the other thing that people don't talk about enough in the creator space is that it's not just making content. You actually have to go out and network and go to events.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's huge.
Make sure you can collaborate with other creators, like draft off of them, they draft off of you. But make sure you need to make friends with some of these people. Like you might think you're working for yourself and by yourself, and it's like, no, you're not. You're working with other creators. Like one day they'll hit you up and they'll be in LA, and it might be a creator that's like got 800,000 followers. And you're like, holy cow.
You're describing, like I had David Gochstein, he has about 900,000 followers. And all it takes is showing up, you guys. And in those moments, like for many years, it felt like, am I crazy? Like I'm showing up nonstop. What's going to come of this? And it's a little moment. You might not know what it's going to be, but if you have faith and you show up and have that absolute conviction, something will come of that. And like, for instance, going to events in LA, I ended up meeting Wendy O. I think she is the biggest crypto YouTuber. And, she came on the first podcast.
I know both of those people actually pretty well.
Yeah. So Wendy came on early on. The first podcast I ever did. I was, very green, very new, just starting out years ago. But I had met her at a USC event. I met her. I met the blonde broker, Daniel Moncada.
I was at that event.
You were there?
Yeah.
Wait, Were you like on a panel or something?
I was.
Okay.
I think I was on a panel with Wendy O and the Blonde Broker, actually.
Full circle. Okay, Lucas, this is going to blow my mind because I think I have a picture from that.
I'm positive you do.
If I have a
I have
post
that
of
picture.
you from years ago
Yeah.
on my timeline, like you guys, right now it's happening full circle. When you go to events, I'm telling you, you connect with people.
Yep, it's true.
Let's see really quick. I'm gonna go through the archives, you guys. I tagged Wendy O a long time ago on this USC.
I'm pretty sure I'm sitting right on the stage or right in front of that classroom. So.
I'm going to crack up if you're on my timeline. It's from years ago. All right, let's see. Screen, let's present. So yeah, I did a little talk. And again, this was like, you know, I had at the time, I'll share something a little personal here. A month before this, my father had passed away. And I had the opportunity to go speak at USC. Haven't really done a whole lot at universities. And yes, it's a time where I was going through a lot, but I also was reflecting on legacy. What kind of legacy do I want to, you know, honor my father with? I got to keep showing up. I have to keep working hard and build a legacy that he would be proud of. And this is the power of showing up, you guys. So I go to this event. I was approached after my workshop by a woman who says, hey, I'm working with a group of individuals. They're writing a book called Impact Entrepreneur. We feel like you would be perfect for this. There's one spot left. Do you want to join us? Absolutely. And that was the power of showing up. It was my father's lifelong dream to become a published author. He never was able to do that in his lifetime. And through that conviction, through that motivation to show up and continue on the legacy, even during a time of like deep pain for me, I showed up and then I was able to continue his legacy through this event that I went to. So it was very, very serendipitous. So I just wanted to share something a little personal there. And even more serendipitous now, Lucas, like full circle, you know,
I am.
Yeah. See you guys.
That's me right there.
So we're sitting here talking about, you know, the power of showing up. You'll never know who you meet. You know, I ended up being at the same event as Lucas here years ago. And some of these women here, Blonde Broker I've talked to, Wendy has been a multi-time guest on my show. Daniel Moncada as well from Breaking Bad, you guys. A little bit of alpha here that I'll share is I'm looking at having him be my first podcast guest for 2026. So this was from an event years ago. And, you know, you have that like micro to macro effect. You know, you show up, you do things like, you know, host events, educate, connect with people in the community. And I feel like it always ends up paying off. And then here's a picture of me and Daniel talking after, yeah, I think this was last year. Okay. Last year he was showing me the machete from Breaking Bad. So, anyway, yeah, the power of showing up is real, you guys. You never know who you'll end up meeting. And now Daniel Moncada, years later, he's in our community chat on Telegram, you know. So the power of showing up, you know, every day, you never know who you'll connect with and collab with. So anyway, love that philosophy, Lucas. All right, now just because we're getting past the 30-minute mark here. I'm curious, just for actionable, tangible items for people watching or listening to this. Okay, this is actually a good question. Lucas, you mentioned you're working on an influencer ad network. I'm curious, what would your top advice be for, you know, an individual who's starting out who doesn't have the biggest audience? Where do you start when you don't have the big audience and big following yet?
Well, it depends on what you're creating content about. Like, don't create content that you want. This is the biggest problem I see with creators, actually. They create content they want to create. And so worst idea ever. It's create content that's desirable in a category that people have interest in. So if you're creating content about something that no one cares about, you're going to get no audience. So I would recommend finding people, you know, not just finding people, but content creators that are already doing something. And you're like, I would really like to talk about that as well. Take another spin on somebody's content so that you can say, hey, I'm going to talk about the same thing. And I already know there's an audience because this person has 1 million followers, right? So there's a built-in audience. So it's always by numbers. Then actually even use hashtags. Like, go and do your research. Most people don't do this either. Go and do your research and find out like
what
search
people
results.
Are talking about. Yeah.
Search results. Go onto TikTok and search some things. Go on a Google search and look at
There's
trends.
also something called social listening, you guys. I'm sure Lucas knows about this. There are
I wrote
platforms
about it in 2012.
Exactly. There's platforms out there. Like most people don't know about this when I talk about this. There are tools out there for deep social listening. It's like aggregates a lot of data from social media where you can look up keywords. You can see what people are talking about. It kind of gives you a pulse on like the collective consciousness and what people are thinking and kind of feeling, you know?
Yeah, you could do that for free though through Google Trends. You could also do that for free on like YouTube. Just go and type in any like words you're interested in and then see the videos that show up at the top.
Yeah.
Make sure you sort user filters to see like, hey, which ones have the most views? When did it get the most views? Was it 5, 10 years ago? If it was like 10 or 5 years ago and no video else comes up on that topic, that is a huge opportunity. No, I think it's a huge opportunity.
Oh, I thought you were going to say,
no,
wow.
I think it's huge because like, if you know there's a video out there that got 10 million views and no one's created another video.
Engagement kind of goes down, like people aren't really talking about it. So you're saying that's
valuable.
An opportunity there.
Yeah. It's a trick of the trade that most people truly don't know.
I thought you were going to say the opposite. Like, oh, no one's talking about it.
Yeah, don't do that. So don't always look at data and go, wow, there's 10 million views. Yeah, of course, if it's like some weird trendy topic, like Jennifer Aniston used like this color lipstick and it's all the talk of the world. It's like, no one cares about that. But if you make a video, like there's like some psychological thing, like let's just say it's like some human bias out there and you go look it up and you go, wow, someone made a video about this bias that I wanted to talk about, but it was like 10 years old and has like 30 million views.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And like, there's no video in the last 6 months or 12 months, there's no video. I would be like, oh my God, it's a huge opportunity. There's 30 million views on a video from 10 years ago. People are obviously interested in this. I'm going to make a video on this. Either shorter, would probably be shorter, right? And then there'll be search volume on it because that video got 30 million views.
Wow.
So,
all right, you guys, I hope everyone, I'm taking mental notes here. This has been like such an informative conversation for me, Lucas. You just have such a wealth of knowledge. And I'm curious, like, okay, just a couple questions to wrap things up here. I am curious, like, what is one belief that has changed your life completely? If there is one core belief that you have had that has changed so much for you, what would that be?
Data. Like everything is data. And if I did not take that very seriously until like, I don't know, maybe it's about 20 years ago. It's kind of crazy. But about 21 years ago, I realized like everything's data. And then that changed my outlook on everything. I always thought like designers are just so good at designing, and they are. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you design. It doesn't matter what you think. The data will tell you what people want, what people like. It doesn't matter what anybody's thought process is.
I love it. I think that's huge, you guys. If we take anything away from today's podcast, data is everything. Having measurable, quantifiable results and being able to also track progress and set goals in accordance to the data. I'm also curious, Lucas, you're someone who's worked on a lot of incredible things. What is your current focus now, and what are any call to actions you might have for individuals watching or listening today?
You should buy my book. That's my
buy the
number one
book,
call
you
to
guys.
action.
Community Market
Buy
Fit.
the book, Community Market Fit. And yeah, I mean, what I'm working on is another book. And
let's go.
I will also run an ad tech company. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Lucas, I'm going to do something a little unprecedented here. Before we drop, I want to invite you there, since now I know you're in LA. I'm sure you're familiar with Stand with Crypto. I am hosting a content day this Wednesday. If you're available, you're gone. Okay.
Yeah, I fly out today, actually. Or no, not today, tomorrow at midday. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're doing this content day in LA in 2 days. I'm one of the hosts for it. I'm also doing another event end of January in Laguna Beach. Whenever you're available, would love to invite you out to do some IRL recording. I'll have my videographer on site for both events. So would love to do a more, formal IRL interview with my team if you're open to it. Cause I just think I could talk to you all day, man. And like, I feel like you just have such a wealth of knowledge. I definitely want to jam on more content.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also have events in LA, don't forget. So like every month I have events in 15 major cities.
Keep me posted, man. I would love to go.
It's in Santa Monica.
Santa Monica. Nice. Yeah. Okay. I would love, I'm used to doing the drive up there from Orange County. So just let me know. And I would love to go. Okay. So final call to action, you guys. Get Community Market Fit. Follow Lucas as well. Lucas, let's pull up the old X account here. Show people where to find you.
Yeah. You
guys can find Lucas at Luke360. I'm curious about the name too. I like to hear the stories behind people's names.
It was a game. So back in the day, I had to choose a name. this is gonna really date me, but
For the Xbox 360.
AOL. No,
Oh,
AOL. So I had to choose a name on AOL, and I chose a couple of usernames to log in with, and one of them was Luke 360, and it just means like I am Luke 360 degrees basically.
Okay. So. I love that. Like you can see here in his bio, you guys, ex-head of marketing, Atari, Sony, Experian, 3 exits, 1.4 billion in exits, you guys, 6,000 hours in hosting X Spaces. This is somebody who has learned through experience. I love hearing from people who have that, like veteran status of just showing up all the time. Cause you learn so much through experience, and 47,000 followers. You have a substantial following here, and you also have an AI community. So I think I joined this. Yep, I'm in it. So you guys, if you want to get more involved in Lucas's community, he has an AI community as well.
And a Web3 one that has 42,000 people in it as well.
Wow, that's huge. Look, he's built community here, you guys. Almost like around half of his following. That's so huge there, you guys. You can also subscribe. What are the benefits that subscribers get, Lucas, for subscribing to your X account?
You get to ask me questions.
This is your elevator pitch for me right now to become a subscriber.
If you subscribe to me, you can actually ask me questions, and I will literally give you ideas and and respond to the ideas. Like, yeah, this is a great idea, or no, it's not, and I will give feedback on it. And that usually costs like a lot of money.
Well, you guys, I am officially becoming a Lucas Bean subscriber live. Well, not live, but on the podcast here today.
Close.
All right, I'm checking out. I'm officially a Lucas Bean subscriber, you guys. First time on a podcast. Yeah, very, very reasonable. Well, Lucas, thank you so much for taking the time here today, for being a guest on the Onchain Media Podcast. Do you have any final words of wisdom or anything you'd like to share today before we end?
No, that's it. I mean, I'm glad. I just want you to buy the book. I think you'll get a lot from it. And, I do live in LA, and I go to New York and Miami and Austin, Texas often. So if you have a book, I'll sign it for you as well.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I got mine. So whenever I see you next,
I'm going to sign it for you for sure.
That would be amazing. Awesome. Lucas, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. And for everybody tuning in, we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me.